I was going to do a different video for you this week, but this one is much more urgent. There are little feathery lives on the line, so today we're going to talk about taking care of chickens in extreme heat. Hey girls. All of the chicken and homesteading groups this week seem to be really aflutter with wondering how to take care of chickens in the heat. The heat has been bad, it really has. And so I want to talk today about what we can do to help our chickens get through this extreme heat. So there's a few things that we need to think about, and one is that this summer is a lot hotter for a lot of people than we're used to, which means that it's a lot hotter for our chickens than our chickens are used to. Here in North Texas, temperatures have been slightly higher than normal for this time of year, but the heat indexes and the humidity have been considerably higher, and that makes it feel hotter, which is also harder on the birds. We need to think about how humidity plays into our chicken care as well as the actual air temperature. So today I will be speaking about the climate in North Texas and how we deal with these things here. I want to do a temperature and humidity comparison real quick. So actual air temperature is 100 and the real feel or the heat index is 120, and the humidity is 43%, which AccuWeather is calling extremely humid. Now I'm not going to have a real feel reading on my thermometers that are inside of the run, but let's see what the temperature and humidity are. So at the roof, we are at 95 and 41% humidity. So that's 95 and 41% humidity at the roof. So that's 5 degrees cooler and 2 percentage points lower in humidity. And then over here by the fan, 94 and 44% humidity. So 6 degrees cooler, and is that 1 degree higher or 1 percentage point higher? So it always seems to be a little bit more humid over here by the fan and by the plants, not considerably more than outside. Don't bite my finger. Laverne, that's my finger. If you want to bite a finger, you get your own. Thank you. Sorry. When I come back out here at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon to refresh their water, it's going to be closer to 100 in here. The highest I have read inside the run is 101 when it's been like 110 outside. So that's pretty good if you ask me. If you live in a much drier climate, your situation is different, and don't take what I'm saying as the truth because it might not work for you. And if you are in a drier climate and you want to put some comments down below for what you're doing that is working for you, I welcome you to do that, and I would appreciate that very much. So there are 2 big things that we really need to keep in mind when we're talking about chickens and keeping them cool. One of those things is how chickens regulate their body temperature. So sometimes you'll see them panting, and that's one thing that they do, and they can cool off through their feet, but we're going to come back to that. The main way that they cool their bodies is by popping out their wings a little bit and fluffing up their feathers, and that kind of gives them insulation from the outside temperature, the same way as putting a light fluffy mulch on the ground in your gardens helps your gardens regulate their temperature. We need to remember, wet feathers cannot fluff. If your chickens get wet, they are not as able to regulate their temperature. They'll be left to use their feet and their panting. The second thing to keep in mind is acclimation. For me, in my body, acclimation has been a big deal this summer. When we're having heat indexes of 120, 125, 131 one day last week, and then I go inside where it's 72, if I'm going back and forth, my body is doing almost a 50-degree switch each time. That makes me feel worse sometimes than just being in the heat outside. So if we are giving our chickens ice in their water to make their water ice cold, and we're giving them ice blocks to stand on, then they're getting cool, and then they move off of that, or they finish drinking the water and they get hot, and then they get cool, and then they get hot. And so that's a lot of work for their body to do, whereas we could get them to acclimate to a warmer temperature, but not necessarily the full what it is outside temperature. They will put less stress on their bodies that way. So I've been seeing a lot of people say that they use misters, or they use sprinklers, or they have wading pools that their chickens can float in. And like I said, I don't know about a drier climate, but here, that's dangerous. That is wetting their feathers and reducing their ability to cool themselves. With the humidity already being higher, we're adding humidity when we put wading pools in our coops or runs. 86% humidity when the temperature's over 100, not a good idea to add humidity to that set of situations. I have 3 main things that I use to keep my chickens comfortable and safe during the extreme heat. This is my 7th summer with chickens, but the first one was chicks and they were inside for most of the summer, so we'll call it my 6th. And I haven't lost one to the heat yet. I say yet because I'm not so arrogant to think it would never happen, and I'm 95% sure that part of that was luck. But it still stands true, I haven't lost one to the heat yet. So the 3 things that I use are deep shade, which is provided by a covered run all the way to the edge and then back. They don't go inside of the coop much in the heat in the summer, but we do keep the door open for ventilation. And then we'll look up here. The top of their run is screened so that the hot air can go out. So at night when they are closed up in here, the hot air can still escape. And if they do go in there, because the egg box is over there, there's the egg boxes, and if they go in there, then they have ventilation, so it doesn't stay hot inside the coop like it seems like it would with the covering and the ventilation. And then I grow vining crops on the walls of their coop. I'm bad and I never end up planting them until the end of June. I really need to get better about that and probably do them in early June, and then they'll have full shade by the time the heat hits. This year we have cucamelon, which isn't producing too many cucamelons yet, but the chickens are enjoying it anyway. They get to peck at all of this from inside. They have Malabar spinach. And in some places, the cucamelon and the Malabar are joining forces. And we have cucumbers growing outside. And we'll go around and take a look from the outside too. The cucumbers are starting to produce. So they have access to all of these leaves inside that they can peck at, that they can eat, but also those leaves are providing them with a lot of shade. I have it on the south and the west, and that is where their afternoon sun comes from. After the afternoon sun hits the coop, and it should be the hottest part of the day in here, they actually do pretty well. The coop part is at the back of the run, and then there's the enclosed run, and then they have this whole yard that they can have supervised playtime in. It has to be supervised because we have a family of hawks that lives in those trees. From the outside, it's really quite beautiful, and this is the view from our kitchen windows. So they have all of this, and then it comes around here and wraps around this side. The way I do this is that I have these welded wire cages down here. Their gardens get planted inside of these welded wire cages. Then they can pick at the plants once they come through, but they're not able to dig them up or destroy the roots of the plants. Oh, and you'll notice I have a couple of little tiny plants in here. I have planted Kajari melons 4 times in here, and mystery melon, which is a melon that did not grow according to what the package said that it would be, and I have no idea what it was. Here's that beautiful cucumber I was telling you about. And let's see. And then here's some of that Malabar growing beautifully. My chickens have cool water that they have access to at all times. One of the waterers always has herbs in it. There'll be cooling herbs like peppermint or sage, or sometimes I'll put lemon balm or maybe some holy basil, just herbs that are generally good for the chickens. If it doesn't have herbs in it, in the summertime it will have honey, like, I don't know, a big tablespoon of honey, and then like a teaspoon of baking soda and a teaspoon of salt. per 1 gallon water, and that's electrolytes. And I switch those out. So when I come out to cool off their water, if it had herbs, I'll switch it out to the electrolytes. If it had electrolytes, I'll switch it out to the herbs. The other water stays clean water, and the bucket stays clean water. That allows them to have free choice of whether they want the special water or whether they want just the plain clean water. They get to pick as their bodies need. The other thing we have is a fan. They spend a lot of their time right here, and if you will excuse Bearded Lady, she never got all her feathers back after her molt last fall, so we're hoping that she does better this fall. But this fan stays on high, and it blows across, so I have it set so that it goes back into that corner, and you can kind of... Yep, hi Laverne. Laverne's a finger biter. It's not a worm, baby. It's not a worm. It's my finger. Okay, so the fan blows back there and then kind of circulates the air around. Hello, Laverne. Hello, bitey chicken. The fan I keep on high. I do not use an AC. I use a fan. I'm looking for air circulation, not necessarily cooling. And this, again, goes back to acclimation. You know I'm in Texas, and you probably know that the grid here is notoriously unstable. It's bad. It's really bad, y'all. I'm so looking forward to being on full solar. Anyhow, so I don't want to cool them. If I put an AC in here and it went out, now suddenly they're plunged into the worst hellscape of summer possible. They never have that ramp up. So the fan is just for circulation. The fan is just to keep their air moving, because moving air always feels a little cooler. And you can see they take advantage of it. Hi, Shirley. Yes, you're a pretty bird, aren't you? Are you a pretty bird? Are you gonna try to peck my camera again? All right, so those are the 3 things that I do to take care of my chickens in the extreme heat. Like I said, I haven't lost one to the heat yet. That's probably just a yet. I'm not saying what I do is perfect. I am saying that in 111 degrees, in heat indexes of 130, my chickens are doing pretty well. If you have any friends who keep chickens in extreme heat and are struggling with knowing what to do, would you please share this video with them? Not only would it help me grow, but it is also going to help their chickens. And that's really what this video is about helping the chickens, because these poor babies, it's hot. And they need some relief, but they need relief that's not going to cause them further harm. I'm going to get my little booty back inside. I'm going to wish you a good day, and I'm going to wish your chickens a happy, cool environment. Later, y'all.